To Social Psychology on Conformity, presented by Demi, Hannah, and Sarah.
The definition of conformity, according to Levine, is the process by which people change their beliefs, attitudes, actions, or perceptions to more closely match those held by groups to which they belong or want to belong, or by groups whose approval they desire.
There are multiple types of conformity. There is normative conformity, which is changing one's behavior so that they fit within a group. There's identification conformity, which is conforming based on social roles, changing one's behavior to fit the expected behaviors of that specific role. There's compliance conformity, changing one's behavior to conform to the group while internally disagreeing. There's informational conformity, which is changing one's behavior after looking at the group for direction and information. And finally, there is internalization conformity, which is changing one's behavior to be like another person.
Examples of conformity. Normative conformity would be buying expensive scrubs from a popular brand to fit in with other nurses and coworkers. Identification conformity would be changing behaviors when working on a new unit to fit in with the group and feel like a member of the team. Compliance conformity would be wearing a required uniform, such as scrubs with the school's logo, even though you might not like them. Informational conformity would be a student nurse changing the way they interact with patients based off of the way their classmates act, assuming that their classmates have a better understanding. Internalization conformity would be a nurse who reads a study about a better way to assess a patient's readiness to learn, and the nurse then adapting that skill into their everyday assessments because they believe it is effective.
Factors that affect conformity are fear of rejection from a group, social pressure, a desire for knowledge, social support for a group, preserving social relationships, maintaining favorable self-concepts. You are also more likely to conform if a group size increases between 4 to 5 Confederates, but stops increasing after 5 Confederates. When in a cultural setting, even if you disagree with something within the culture, you are more likely to not say that aloud since you don't want to disagree with the majority. When there is a dissenter, you are more likely to not conform to the group and will increase the accuracy of the participant even if the dissenter is choosing another wrong answer. Ash's experiment in 1951 was composed of all male undergraduate students. A group of 7 people were told to choose which lines looked like the example provided. Of the 7, 1 was an actual participant, the rest were Confederates. 37% of trials, the participant conformed to the group's answers. 75% of participants conformed at least once. Participants thought the group was wrong and questioned his own perception since he was made to believe he must be wrong since he was the only one who disagreed. When the participant had someone else to also disagree with the group, like a dissenter, the participant was more likely not to conform. And when the participant did not have to voice their answer aloud, they were able to not conform to the group as much. Ethical issues with Ash's experiment. Participants did not have informed consent. Participants did not know they were the one being tested and that the rest of the group were all Confederates to the study. Participants thought they were participating in a different trial. During debriefing, participants were not given adequate knowledge of the negative emotions they might feel after being deceived, and it can cause someone mental distress of disagreeing with the group.
Milgram's experiment in 1961. A person answering questions was shocked by the participant if they got the question wrong. Participants were told to continue shocking the person even after the person asked them to stop. However, most of the participants continued to shock the person. The study found that people will follow the instructions of people who they perceive as authority figures. This shows the power of social influence. The study shows that people are willing to go against their own morals and follow the direction of authority figures because they were told that they weren't responsible and they perceived the other individual as superior. Ethical issues with Milgram's experiment. Participants did not have informed consent. They were unaware that the study was actually being done on them, and the Confederates, the person they were supposedly shocking, was in on the study. They were not informed that they were not actually shocking someone. Participants felt forced to continue shocking the Confederate even after the individual being shocked asked them to stop. Participants were not given the option to withdraw from the study, and they were actually told to continue shocking when they hesitated. Participants experienced emotional distress after the experiment, likely due to the fact that they went against their own moral code.
This scenario shows the negative effects of conformity. A nurse who is new to the unit is told by several senior nurses to do a dressing using materials and methods that she is not used to. She knows that the way she normally does dressings works well and is more comfortable to her, but because of the social pressure and fear of judgment, she decides to do the dressing the way that the other nurses told her to. The dressing ends up being less effective than it would have been if she had done it in the way that she originally planned to. This is negative because it results in less effective patient care, and the situation affects the nurse's self-concept. This scenario shows more negative effects of conformity. A new grad nurse is working on her unit and notices that other nurses are skipping and delaying their breaks. She quickly finds out that this floor's team culture expects everyone to push through instead of taking a few moments for themselves. The new nurse is feeling hungry and wants to take her break, but fears that the other staff will perceive her as uncommitted and she may miss out on opportunities to learn if she leaves. This shows negative effects of conformity because it displays increased burnout for nurses, compromised self-care, compromised patient care, and compromised patient safety. This scenario shows the positive effects of conformity. In lab at school, we are taught to prime our IV lines with the medication rather than with saline. If this is not done correctly, there is a major risk for wasting medication, and this method is more time-consuming. Since being in our clinical placements this semester, we have been exposed to nurses priming IV lines using saline instead of the medication, and have taken up this method. Priming the lines this way prevents medication waste, there is less chance of lines being primed incorrectly, and it is more time efficient. This promotes patient safety, prevents waste, and it's more time efficient.
Our conclusion. The key takeaways from this presentation were: conformity is people changing their behaviors or perceptions to align with others when seeking their approval or acceptance. There is good and bad parts of conformity. Conformity can be beneficial because it can enhance safety, it can expand people's knowledge, and hold people to standards that keep various institutions professional and functioning. On the other hand, conformity can be harmful when people go against their morals, suppress their opinions, and do things that could cause harm to others, all to please the people around them. People are more likely to not conform if they have the support of at least one other person and when they don't have to openly express their opinions to a group. Based on the experiments done on conformity, we can see that desire to be accepted and pressure from a group can cause individuals to doubt their perceptions. This is clearly seen in Ash's line experiment.
Relevance to people and society. Conformity is the root of social norms. In a cultural context, traditions, values, and expectations are passed down through conformity and create communities that hold long-term standards. Relevance to nursing. As seen in the scenarios, conformity in nursing can be both beneficial and harmful to providers and patients. Nurses conform to new research constantly to ensure that they are providing patients the highest quality and most effective care possible. Nurses may also conform to pressure from other people on a care team, and this could be detrimental to their well-being and professional integrity.
Moving forward, being aware of conformity allows us to change our thought processes, especially in group settings. When faced with a group decision, we can ask ourselves if we are agreeing with the people around us because we genuinely feel that way, or if we are agreeing because we feel a pressure to do so. If a situation came up where agreeing could cause harm to ourselves or others, we are now aware that we have the ability to potentially change the outcome if we don't conform. Thank you for watching our presentation. Our references for our information will be attached to the Moodle submission in a PDF file.